switch our webcam off and move on and give the platform to Svetlana on a transformation in a hypergrowth situation. So Svetlana, whenever you're ready, over to you.
Thank you, Hans. Again, so pleased to be here and presenting to all of you. I'm going to talk about Moderna during the pandemic and the explosive growth that we went through. I think most of you are familiar with the company. I joined Moderna back in September 2020, just a few months before its first COVID vaccine received emergency authorization in the US and around the globe. In the last 3 years, Moderna grew from under 1,000 employees in US only to over 3,500 employees worldwide. The company also went from clinical to mass-scale manufacturing, commercial manufacturing overnight. We've delivered over 800 million doses of COVID vaccine in 2021 alone. At the same time, we went through international expansion as well. We've added about 15 commercial subsidiaries, 20 legal entities across North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific, and multiple distribution partners. We entered multiple late-stage trials across several therapeutic areas. In fact, today we have 14 medicines in 4 therapeutic areas and 46 development programs overall. Next slide, please. Here. So what did our FP&A team look like during the beginning of the pandemic? Because the company and the finance department was growing so fast, the majority of our people were new. More than 60% of the workforce were less than 12 months of tenure when joined. We had to stand up multiple functions such as commercial and corporate and international finance and tax and treasury, basically overnight. Just like all of you, we were also remote during the pandemic. Being new and remote made onboarding very difficult for the team. We had lack of well-defined processes. Many simply didn't exist before, lack of training and little documentation on how to. We had an FP&A planning tool that was cloud-based at the time, but wasn't used by many, and there was lack of user engagement as a result. And majority of functions had manual and offline models within FP&A itself. On the other hand, we had finance talent that came from Big Four and well-established companies, both within and outside of biotech space. We knew what good looked like and had good understanding of what the reporting requirements were. We also had a strong desire to change, so we did not have to focus on the change management as much. We knew we could not survive the business growth and support the business as needed with the current tool, with the tools that we had at the time. Our leadership team was also very supportive and ready to invest in capabilities. Finally, we were also fortunate enough to have fairly simple data. We had few legal entities to begin with, very few currencies, and not a lot of history. Next slide, please. Since we were growing so fast, we knew that we could not do everything at once. So for us, intelligent transformation meant prioritizing initiatives while enabling the company to grow at the unprecedented pace. For example, we had an existing cloud tool that the team was not using, but no time or capacity to implement a new solution. We had an in-house and still have an in-house IT resource that allowed us to improve the system, tailor it to each individual functional needs. So we transitioned all FP&A to Excel environment within the existing tool. We gave them the standard freeloading template. Since all of our finance models at the time were offline and in Excel, that's what we needed at the time, while it's still a very traditional approach. In parallel, we focused on master data with reporting needs in mind, cleaning up the chart of accounts and organizing it to fit our needs, creating regional and functional hierarchies, and allowing FP&A to align the reporting structure with the business structure and its needs. We've identified functional champions for the UAT and pilots and implemented quarterly system improvements and postmortems to be based on user feedback. It allowed us to fix a lot of little things that made a big difference to FP&A. We introduced the ability to adjust the forecast without losing the integrity of the data, allowing both corporate and functional finance to adjust forecasts as needed without touching the business submission. Everyone knows that finance likes to massage the data. We just made the massaging easy and trackable. We've also introduced the use of statistical accounts for KPI and scenario modeling. So even if the models were offline, we could track key metrics and assumptions versus the forecast. We currently are working on a new system implementation that will take into consideration trends and run rates analysis and will allow for predictive modeling and analytics for certain functions and accounts. Again, we would love to transition to everything being done with predictive analytics, but we realize that the time is not yet because we still don't have a lot of history that we can take into account. So we're focusing on pieces of that. And finally, we are currently in the process of transitioning all of our business partner reporting into the cloud and digital platform. Why we are doing that is because given the growth of the business, the amount of legal entities and the functions we're supporting, the standard way of business partner reporting is no longer feasible for us. We're looking for self-service that will allow business to focus on what's relevant to them, because some functions would like to look through the vendor and others through the PO. Some like to look at trends versus period to date and so forth. So the cloud and digital platform is allowing us for automated and user interactive experience versus static PowerPoint. And most importantly, it's also allowing finance to shave off days of your regular close and reporting cycle. Slide, please. So to close, what are some of the lessons learned? For us, ability to grow and scale with the business was essential. It meant identifying and cross-training the functional champions early on and allowing them to support their functions and all the remote workers. It also meant focusing on automation of manual tasks so that we can do better reporting and assist with QA and QC. As mentioned earlier, we were not set up for the growth, right? We were not set up to do clinical, to separate clinical and commercial manufacturing. We were not set up to report previously at all at the scale and pace. So automating those manual tasks allowed us to find holes in the data and fix it step after step, months after months. We maintain the flexibility for changes to support the business, which is being supported through our in-house IT resource. And that goes both for systems, the processes, and the data and analytics. As the business continues to evolve, we continue to evolve the master data and the system with it. We continue to add legal entities and functions across the globe. Traditional business partner reporting becomes less and less feasible, as I mentioned previously, and requires significant headcount and resources from FP&A. This is not the model that Moderna wants to take. So having a cloud-based digital tool that is automated and provides the user interactive experience allows us to do so with fewer people than the normal FP&A, than the standard FP&A structure. We continue to plan for the range of outcomes because our business continues to change and evolve very fast. Moderna is a very fast-paced environment. So we have frequent communication and touch points within the whole FP&A as a result. Our processes and systems support scenario modeling. We are focusing, again, quarterly on automating inputs and outputs in the system that allow for calculations to support those scenarios. And once again, having an IT resource or resources within the FP&A team is what allows us to stay nimble and make changes as often as the business needs, which is quarterly for Moderna. And finally, on automation. Our next focus is on data and analytics. We envision a world where digital reporting does not require PowerPoint or email from FP&A. I urge you to refer to the white paper that will show where Moderna is on some of those metrics. Thank you for your time.